Cool. Okay, cool. So I'm going to read out a poem, my friends. It's not an original by Abhijit. Maybe he will read out another one. दूर गांव में बस्ती थी जहाँ सस्ती थी. Beat this. उनकी गांव में इतनी मस्ती थी जितना डालो उतना हंसती थी. तुम भी बहुत हंसती हो उसी गांव की लगती हो. Not an original composition. Look, it's a very simple, innocent poem that in schoolyards one often hears these poems. What's the controversy around this poem on your Twitter? It's gotten 1 million views and cancellation cries and upheaval in the Twitter multiverse. Aisa kya hai, bro?
So the only people wanting me cancelled are Pakistani fifth columns out here, because remember who it was quote tweeting. This horrible creature called Bushra Sheikh, who apparently is a tranny. Her name was Khusra Sheikh, and she's apparently Pakistan's first post-op tranny. Anyway, she was on a panel. I didn't know about her. She was on a panel with me on Times Now or something like that. She was literally defending the grooming gangs. You know, when that grooming gang controversy happened.
Right, in the UK.
Yeah. And that is the way those grooming gangs actually see their targets. White, loose, easy, whatever. So imagine how it will feel for her, right? She doesn't care. I've asked her repeatedly, are your father and brother? I have some information from there as well.
As you do on most people.
As I do on most people. She refuses to answer the question. Right? So this is something very curious, that people in India are defending a grooming gang defender from Pakistan. And that to a piece of trash when you are going up against Pakistan.
Right.
And notice all these people, this isn't the first time they're doing it. You know, there was another piece of trash in 2020 when Galwan happened. There was another episode like this where, kya tha wo? Zubair. You remember there was this, all these Tablighi Jamaat guys, they were shitting on, pissing on, flashing all the nurses and throwing their urine at them and things like that. He was defending them. So I said, listen, if I come to your house and did the same to your mother, would she invite me to eat biryani or kick me out of the house? Oh, how can you say this, blah, blah, blah. And they tried cancelling me even then. Notice they only come out, and this was when, you know, Galwan had happened. They only come out when there is Pakistanis or Chinese on the border who have killed some Indians. So anyway, I've written to the intelligence agencies to have these people investigated for criminal actions, because I do believe they're coordinating with the Pakistanis, or at least their funders are in some form or way.
That's a very serious allegation. The last time you mentioned Zubair on this podcast, there was a whole upheaval on Twitter about whatever happening.
Listen, he's literally peddling DGISPR talking points. Literally.
What's DGISPR? The Iranian Revolutionary?
No. Dude, we're talking about Pakistan here. Director General of Inter-Services Public Relations.
Okay.
It works under the ISI.
Right.
With the ISI.
Our friend Sharan Sethi, he made this interesting reel about how in modern times, terrorist groups are now moving away from adding the word Islam or adding the word Muslim to their activities or their names. And the attack that happened in Pahalgam was done by Terror Resistance Front, TRF, right?
The Resistance
Front. Yeah. What do you see this renaming as? It is a way perhaps to get more foreign dollars?
It's always been the case that with Pakistan, see, they run a menagerie of terrorist organizations, right? Now, originally what the thing was, it started as JKLF, which was the umbrella organization. They got too big for their boots, started exercising political power, so Pakistan decided to split them into lots of individual, each denomination essentially, the Deobandis, the Barelvis or whatever, needed to have some kind of individual, they needed to wave the flag of Islam and have their own terror organization essentially to show loyalty. So what ends up happening is, that was a very successful strategy, because anytime they discovered that sanctions were placed, the same people would just create a new organization. And they'd say, well, you banned that organization, I can't ban this organization. This is different. So, you know, it was kind of like one of those round-robin things going around. Anyway, that's how it is. Now, TRF is something very curious. It's not just a remorphing of the LET. it's something more complex, and it shows you how successful we've been. This contains lots of different jurisprudential schools in there, right? They're not from one school alone. At least that's the information we get. Now, remember, this is all secondary information that we're reading from other people. And what happens in this is, it's because the insurgency is ended in Kashmir. It ended some time back. I didn't expect it to end so quickly, but it did. What ended up happening was that they're bringing together the remnants of these organizations.
In a last-ditch attempt to make something happen, like Pahalgam?
We suspect, yeah. I mean, that's the logical conclusion, right? I mean, there's no real proof of it or anything. TRF is relatively new. We'll learn more about it as and when the public literature becomes available. But so far, from the intel we know, this is kind of it.
But let me ask you this. I was told when Article 370 was abrogated that peace had returned to the valley. You yourself did a trip to Kashmir very recently. One would argue that if peace had returned to the valley, this incident, as unfortunate as it is, must have been at least preemptively known by our authorities कि अगर peace आ गया है तो ऐसा कैसे हो गया कि आपकी एक known tourist spot के ऊपर इतने सारे आतंकवादी आ गए और उन्होंने they gunned down innocent Hindus. How, like, I know I listened to your podcast with Kushal when you were discussing Islamism in India, right? And you've been mentioning very vocally on Twitter and on your podcast appearances that this is not an intelligence failure at all, right? But despite the fact that peace has returned,
may not be an intelligence
failure. But like, despite the fact that peace has returned, how is it that we've been caught so off guard? And this is like based on your experience with India's think tanks, the kind of people you know in defense. How could we have this lapse?
So look, America having an ocean has stopped most Islamic terror attacks since 9/11 happened, right? Yeah. But they haven't been able to stop gang shootings. Why? Because they have a land border with Mexico. And also infiltration. A lot of the fentanyl actually comes from Canada, right? So it's different gangs coming in from different places, and a land border you can't control. This is number one. Number two, you can never completely control terror access. That doesn't mean there's an insurgency going on. When Bombay happened on 26/11, was there an insurgency in Bombay? No. And yet every 2 to 3 years there'd be some big bomb blast and hundreds of people used to get killed.
I remember there were so many bomb blasts in Delhi,
in
all the major South Delhi markets.
Yeah, but was there an insurgency?
No.
So no, there is no insurgency. Second is, intel it's voodoo. There's no known way of collating it and predicting it faultlessly. Because look, terrorists talk in euphemisms. There are different people listening in at different times. They're using different language, different people talking to each other. So where is the... how do you synthesize it? It's impossible. This only happens in Bollywood movies where, the two of us are planning a terror attack. I call you and we say, hey, Vinamra, that bomb hidden in the coffee there, take it and place it on your cameraman's chair and we can kill him. It's never like that. It'll be, okay, immerse the package and deliver.
Right. Encrypted language.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be encrypted. It's impossible to figure out. See, if somebody is listening in here without having access to video, and I say, Vinamra, take that bomb and put it in that bottle. Into that. Now, what is that? Is it a basket? Is it a pencil box? Is it a bottle? Is it a cup of coffee? Is it a glass of water? You don't know. It's very contextual. So, this intel failure, this is imported jargon. There are such things as intel failures, and they're very real. This, from we don't have much evidence right now, doesn't seem to be one of those. Yeah. Let me make the case for the case that these guys are probably trying to make. They're not very articulate. The problem is if you don't work in security, you tend to just bullshit. First, there was the Balochistan attack, which had nothing to do with us, but they blamed us for it. Now, when something like that happens, they need to divert attention. So it doesn't matter if you were blamed for it or not. If you did it or not, you're blamed for it. Second is this ridiculous speech that the Pakistan Chief of Army Staff made, Asim Munir. Over the top hyperbole. He's hiding since then. He's gone into hiding ever since Pahalgam happened. The third is every time a US president has come, Pakistan has tried to carry out some strike or the other.
And this is because J.D. Vance was currently...
J.D. Vance was around. So you look at it technically, there was... when Clinton came in 98, 99, I forget exactly when, there was the Chatti Singhpura massacre. When George Bush came in 2006, within a month there was the Doda massacre. They were apparently planning to do it earlier, but whatever. Every time Barack Obama has come, there's been an increase in violence out there. Or maybe they didn't find a specific civilian target to hit. But military violence, yes, increased. When Trump came, there was the Delhi riots, right? So technically, between the Balochistan attack, we should have expected retaliation. After the general's speech, we should have expected retaliation. And during J.D. Vance's visit, you should have known, given past precedents, not presidents, past precedent, that there should have been, that this would be the timing of the attack, right? Now, you can know all of this. You can still do nothing about it unless you have specific inputs. Okay? You need to know where they're going to hit. India's a huge country. You can't afford to have a policeman, stationed at every 100 meters or something like that, a police jockey at every 100 meters and things like that. It's physically impossible. That said, the response was very, very rapid. Remember, Bombay took, it was a day, 2 days before we could realistically respond, right? The cops did a very, very good job, but till the heavy forces came in, there was very little you could do. And that was, the first heavy forces came in hours into the thing. Here, literally in the middle of nowhere in a meadow, you divert a drone within 15 minutes. Yeah. And the first troops on the ground arrive in about 50 minutes. You have and this is on a Kacha road. It's about 5.5 kilometers from the nearest motorable road, and that itself takes about 30-40 minutes to drive. So it wasn't an operational failure, and you managed to kill 2 of the terrorists. So it wasn't an operational failure either. Pulwama, on the other hand, was an operational failure. And when Pulwama, you remember what happened in Pulwama? Sure. This suicide bomber drove his car near a military bus and blew it up, killing all the soldiers in there. The thing about that was, you should have never had a civilian car allowed anywhere near that bus. Now, I actually tried, when I went in 2019 September, a month after 370 had been abrogated, I tried to meet the family of the Pulwama suicide bomber because I wanted to go into their house and see if their stock had improved. Because this is something we see in Israel, that when suicide bombing happens, they get lots of money as gifts. And I wanted to see if there'd been monetary remuneration for that, because I've been advocating bulldozing the houses or blowing up the houses of suicide bombers instantly. People don't realize what kind of a deterrent it acts as. You go, once you know the suicide bomber is the easiest to find in the world. He's the only guy whose head is intact. He or she. You know why? Because this literally disintegrates the body. Your head, even before the blast can get to it, gets thrown high up in the air. So it is the one head that will be almost undamaged. Right? I mean, it's different in a car. In a car, it's like, well, you're not strapping it onto yourself, but whatever. So, the forensics are actually quite easy on finding a suicide bomber. In a terrorist case as well, your house gets demolished. Once you know who the terrorist is, if you're fighting back and things, you know you're the terrorist, right? I mean,
Right.
it doesn't even take 30 minutes to confirm that the guns used and the bullets and the guys are like the same. And what we've found in Israel is, at least that's what the studies show, is that in 99% of the cases when suicide bombings are going to happen, the family themselves call up the authorities and tell them, my son's going to do this or my daughter's going to do this. Because they're shit scared of their houses getting demolished. And you know, even the demolition doesn't happen aise-vaise. It's, they go into the house and, you know, invariably, every terrorist or suicide bomber, when you go into their families, they'll say, Are masoom tha, he did not know, he was an innocent boy. Now, sometimes that's true. That's actually true because, you know, a terrorist will try to hide this thing from their families. But very frequently, that isn't true. You can see the signs of radicalization, you know, martyrdom posters and literature and things like that.
I've seen Pakistani flags in Bandra.
Well, that's a Muslim flag, really. It's
No, I've seen the Pakistani flag. I've seen the
so
Pakistani flag.
So there is the Muslim flag, which is the crescent and star with a green banner.
And the Pakistani flag has the white in it as
White
well.
strap.
I have seen that, yes.
Oh.
Yeah. In one tucked away back alley, I was petrified.
Next time, just take a photo and go tell your local police station, because you never know. You never know with these kind of people if they're flying Pakistani flags.
But let me get to this difficult part. What has happened ever since the Pahalgam attack is that, you know, usually when lots of people who get their news from Instagram and who learn about humanitarian crisis in Gaza and who learn about this perpetually impoverished, attacked, relegated Muslim, when they get their news from Instagram, they often make an appeal to say, but not all Muslims, right? And this time what I've seen is it's become a very tricky territory where people are having a difficult time separating it, and they're finally calling it for what it is. It's an Islamic act of terrorism. But in this particular dynamic, since you've been to Kashmir, I think you went to Kashmir a few months ago, you posted a video of the ziplining guy. The guy who
That wasn't my video, that was his
yeah, I
video.
know, but I mean, you also shared it. You said that he was saying Allahu Akbar a few times. He knew exactly what was happening. Is it that easy to radicalize someone who practices Islam in the country, or is it uniquely specific to the Kashmir Valley?
I'll tell you why third world Islam is more prone to radicalization. Not first world, but it's the same with third world Christianity as well, by the way.
Okay.
So you look at first world Muslim countries.
Turkey?
Not anymore, unfortunately. But Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
Qatar, Bahrain, the UAE, Oman. Muslims don't come out on the road and protest. They don't go around saying Sartan se juda and shit like that. They've got jobs to do. They've got work to do and things like that. Third world countries, people don't have jobs. And remember, Christianity, Islam, these are congregational religions. Christianity, it's kind of taboo to miss your Sunday church service. In Islam, Friday, it doesn't, the other days you don't have to pray 5 times a day if you can't. Well, you have to, but you don't have to go to the mosque. But Friday is a congregational activity. You have to meet up. You have to listen to the sermon. There is no way out of it. And you know, this isn't even negotiable. It's not
Otherwise,
like...
it's a lapse in your religiosity.
Exactly. So you have to go to a mosque on Friday. So, you know, they're literally trained to congregate. Once you're trained to congregate, it becomes very easy to weaponize. And this used to happen in Europe as well, till the Industrial Revolution, till the 1700s or so. You could, pogroms and things like that, these are European words. They used to collect, the only minority out there were the Jews at that time. If a kid went missing, oh yeah, the Jews killed him and let's go kill all the Jews. So it used to happen out there as well. So it's much more about the congregationalism and the incitement. Now, in these developed Arab countries, mullahs are very tightly controlled. They dare not say something that's even remotely inciting.
Is that an order from the top? Like in the
Oh,
case
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
MBS,
yeah.
for example,
Yeah.
as he's trying to
Dude,
modify Islam
if
and
you
make it more
don't,
moderate?
every Friday sermon has to be cleared by his office. Everywhere.
So
I
he's
mean,
not going to allow errant and rebellious imams, perhaps, to give their own line of
Yeah.
reasoning.
yeah. Same in Oman, same in Qatar, same in Bahrain. I mean, Qatar isn't friendly to us or anything. That's a different matter. Same in the UAE, Kuwait. So, you won't see this here. This is a uniquely third world uh, phenomenon. Even Iran, the crowd can't go kill people. The crowd can target somebody, but then the authorities will come prosecute you and hang you or whatever for whatever. But not the crowds. Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, it's the crowds that engage in this kind of behavior. And that has many reasons. You don't or feel shy to monitor the Friday sermons or any kind of sermons. You don't have the police forces to deal with it. The burden of peacekeeping is on the individual and not on the government, even though you pay taxes. It's a colonial construct. You minimize costs so that you can extract the most. So it's very natural. It's what it is.
What do you think is the future of the valley now?
Well, just connecting this to your last question. Notice I didn't have an issue with him saying Allahu Akbar.
Sure.
My issue was him throwing him into the...
Crowds.
As in pushing him down. Allahu Akbar is a very natural reaction. It's like everything, if you've ever gone to an Arab country, everything is Allahu Akbar. Your daughter got married, Allahu Akbar. Your son died in a car crash, Allahu Akbar. It's
the context that makes this problematic.
In this particular case, it's not the context that makes it problematic. It's him seeing what was happening, which side the terrorists were going, and pushing this guy there. It's not the Allahu Akbar that's the problem, it's the pushing the guy there. Because the zipline operator, if he had any sense of responsibility, should have removed this guy, taken away his phone, removed his glasses or his helmet, unstrapped him and told him to run in the other direction. He didn't do that. He pushed him right into the crowd. He pushed him right into where the attack was happening. You understand? So it's not the Allahu Akbar that's the problem. It's the pushing into the crowd that's the problem.
Did you yourself meet Kashmiris in your time in Kashmir who perhaps echoed this sentiment of being anti-India and just being very separatist?
Dude, when I was in school there in the 80s,
you were in school in Kashmir?
Yeah.
How many schools have you gone to, bro?
I've gone to way too many schools, dude. I used to keep getting uprooted and moved based on my parents' postings.
But 80s Kashmir must be wild.
They used to openly say we're Pakistani. My classmates, almost every one of them without exception, the Muslim classmates, except the Ladakhis, would all say, हाँ मैं अपने आप को पाकिस्तानी मानता हूँ. Yeah, it was very common. In fact, my classmates were telling me the very first Indian officer to get killed was my classmate's father, and he has since become a cop in order to get back Muslim. To get back, at least 3 of my classmates joined the police or security forces to get back at terrorists, or because they didn't want any of that crap. And about 8 of my cohort became terrorists.
8 of your classmates became terrorists? Yeah. Known terrorists?
Yeah.
Some absconding, some hiding, or all dead?
All dead.
You went to school with kids
I went to school
who
with
became terrorists.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I don't remember, I remember the faces of friends of mine. Sometimes it happens, you're in class and I was in school with you. Oh, okay. Do you remember me? You feel so bad, and sorry, I don't. I really don't.
Right.
I keep getting approached by former classmates from college, school, whatever, at airports or whatever, and
Because you're famous now.
yeah. And I'll be like, sorry, I don't.
What a rude thing to say. Have you learned nothing about being a celebrity? Oh, bro. She's, of
Dude,
course.
like, what the hell?
What's your last name? And your first name starts with
I can't do that shit. I can't do that shit. But anyway, so yeah, so 8 of them turned out to be terrorists. 3 of them turned out to be security forces. 1 was killed in action. All Muslims, including the security forces. So, it's the radicalization has come down very significantly. These days, if you go there, aap Pakistani hai? Nahin. Even in September 2019, what would happen is, the moment you had a normal conversation with them, it would be totally normal. Kaisa hai yaar, अच्छा नहीं है, ये कब खत्म होगा, etc., etc. We want to get on with life. We can't make money, this, that, whatever. How the security forces, normal, how are security forces, like...
Whatever. Just very boring conversations.
Yeah. Do they treat you badly? Like, no, I mean, they're just indifferent to us. They don't talk to us. If we try to go make friends with them, they push us away, and things like that, with good reason, because you don't know if this guy is wearing a suicide vest or something. So they don't tolerate anybody coming near them. As opposed to here, I mean, if you go to the airport, you can literally chat up security guys at the airport or railway station, wherever. None of that there. And the moment I got out my phone saying, क्या हम record कर सकते हैं? अरे सर, आपको पता नहीं, जुल्म हो रहा है हमारे साथ, सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस ने मेरे बेटी को मार डाला. A fellow who just told me nothing happened now claims his daughter was killed by security forces. And the moment he starts screeching, about 10 people from around come, and they tell you all their stories of how their families were massacred and how the Indian occupation is brutal and blah, blah, blah. And you'll start getting dirty looks from the security picket, because they're like, oh, fuck, this guy's another one of those human rights activists or whatever who's making some... But they won't try to stop you from filming.
Right.
And immediately the sign for more people to congregate and swamp this journalist with atrocity literature is Narai Takbir. One guy will say Narai Takbir and everybody starts Allahu Akbar. That's the sign for everybody to come out. And I realized why that was happening. You see, terrorists are extortionists. They're nasty people. If you're willing to kill people, you're not nice. This isn't with rules or defense forces or anything. This is just you're going out to kill because you're a crazed, deranged fanatic. They will go into people's houses. They'll decide that this operation requires a car. Guess what? Your car it is. They've decided that they're really horny and they need to have sex. Your daughter it is.
And at gunpoint.
It's not at gunpoint, but you know what's going to happen to you. You know what's going to happen to you. And I didn't really think about it till some time back when this friend of mine, we were having drinks out there, and his Mosa or I don't know these Hindi relationships, something father's brother something or mother's brother something, had started a factory in Punjab in the 80s. And suddenly a bunch of 4 guys come with guns and say, you've been summoned to the Akal Takht. He gets taken and presented in front of Bindranwale. And Bindranwale asks him, well, why haven't you been supporting us? You're a Sikh, you're a Jat, you should be supporting the Khalsa and this and that and whatever. And he says, well, now it's very funny. At that time, he was shitting bricks, clearly. Both him and his younger brother were taken. And he said, why don't you give us money? So he said, I'm supporting it in other ways. I provide employment to about 200-300 people. And I've always told them, if it's just based on your work here. You do what you want, and we have religious classes every day and things like that. So I've actually been supporting you. It's just not directly, because business isn't taking off. This is a terrorism affected state, and we're not getting any orders. What do I have to give? In those days, people don't remember this, but cars were super rare. So then he wanted the car. And he said, well, you're going to destroy my business then, because this is the car we use to transport all our goods to Delhi. What little orders we have. Now, final resort, he said, well, why don't you leave your brother here? And the brother, as the story goes, was shit scared that his elder brother was actually going to leave him there and let him forcibly get drafted into the
wave of Khalistanism.
Yeah. And he literally apparently started crying or something. So they're like, oh shit, yeah, you can't join. So get lost. But they didn't know till the last minute. No guns were ever taken out.
It's just the power of the mob.
It's the power of the mob. So, it's very easy for us to sit and say, well, why didn't you go help those people?
Right.
You have no fucking clue how these things work. These people who say this have never been in an insurgency situation.
You're forced to comply in ways that no human being in an urban city with protection and security forces would have to, right?
Exactly. And remember, no matter what you can do, the terrorists will come and get you. Because a security troop can't be posted outside your house 24/7.
Right. Like that's like the equivalent of being your security detail.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Right. And by the way, other members of that same family were killed. For whatever reason. We're seen as collaborationists or whatever. So, this is something I've noticed in all insurgency affected areas. Afghanistan, Kashmir, if you go to the Farghana Valley in Uzbekistan, we got up to the edge, but we were then turned away. We were told you can't go in there, dangerous situation, we don't want bloody foreigners there, and anyway you look like a terrorist, so get the hell out. And, because I wear a kurta, wearing a kurta pajama there can be very useful sometimes. Right. This wasn't one of those cases. They saw my kurta. I got blamed for it.
Often.
Yeah, I got blamed for it because I was like the only guy wearing ethnic clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's not that straightforward, and people in insurgency situations tend to lie through their teeth. It's not because they want to lie, it's because it's a survival mechanism.
You can't impose the same morality you would on an upstanding citizen of Delhi or Mumbai.
Now remember, once you get habituated into lying, it takes a very, very long time to come out of it. Right. So, I don't blame the locals there for staying out of it. I'm iffy about the zipline operator. I would personally verge into thinking he at least needs to be prosecuted for...
They picked him up.
Had that man died, Rushi Bhatt his name is, had he died, I think he needed to be charged with abetting murder. In this case, it's a bit tougher because Rushi Bhatt didn't die. But what he did, pushing Rushi Bhatt into the fracas, I don't know under what criminal provisions they'll prosecute him, but he needs to be prosecuted.
As someone who studies defense and war, let's zoom out a bit. I've been noticing that Turkey recently distanced itself from the claims that they did not supply weapons to Pakistan. And China seems to be hell-bent on saying that both countries should make peace because its CPEC deals are threatened and whatnot. Even in America, I was very surprised, despite the fact that all their grey tech accounts and all official handles condemned the attack and called it for what it was. Trump made this very strange statement, which is perhaps in line with what most American presidents do. He said he's close to Pakistan, he's close to India, something that many, Trump fanatics were hoping he would be unequivocally condemning Pakistan, but he sort of turned away. So from a geopolitical standpoint, who is standing with us in this war and who's against us? Has this changed the tectonic plates of power in the world?
Look, you look at American statements, Israel versus Iran. Trump is like, Iran's a great country. They're a great people. We want them to become great, etc., etc., etc. But do you think he's going to think twice when Israel decides to hit Iran?
No,
Or if he needs to hit Iran?
not at all.
No. Now remember, with what happened on 7th October and what's happening with the Houthis.
In Israel.
The Houthis are in Yemen. They're blocking the Red Sea. Yeah, 7th October in Israel. Americans were killed. Lots of Americans were killed. It was a different kettle of tea. Here it isn't. It's the same way we don't take sides in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, right? We will empathize with both people. What the Americans aren't doing is pressurizing us. That's the important thing.
And you think that's been hard fought over the 10 years, 15 years that Modi's been in power, that we've sort of arrived at this place where we're not pushed into a corner?
Yeah. That's been a product of a lot of things over the last 10, 15 years. Your bettering economy, your deeper ties with America, also the fact that you are now deeply interconnected with Saudi Arabia, Israel, and other American allies. The fact that Pakistan is no longer connected with any American ally. The fact that Pakistan was basically arming people to kill American troops in Afghanistan, etc., etc., etc. And Pakistan is bankrupt today, so it has no economic value. The big lever that Pakistan has, which I suspect is why America is playing nice right now with Pakistan, is their nuclear arsenal. Because they've always used it to blackmail the rest of the world, saying, well, even if we don't use it against India and say we disintegrate, we don't know who's going to get their hands on those bombs.
Oh, they're okay with their country fragmenting, and that's the blackmail?
No. The blackmail is that if we fragment, do you really want us to fragment?
Oh, you don't want us to devolve down into a free state like Syria is?
Yeah. Given our nuclear weapons.
How did they develop this nuclear capability? How did they basically become, like, are they almost equally armed as us in terms of nuclear capacity?
Look, we're way ahead of them in terms of delivery. In terms of their warheads, these are Chinese designs. Some of them. The earliest designs are redacted French designs. And it was done primarily because the Americans wanted Pakistani help in Afghanistan. So as long as Pakistan was doing its intelligence activities in the Netherlands and mostly the Netherlands, the Americans were like, you know what, it's
Just
the
make some
price,
nukes,
it's
we're
the
okay
price
with it.
we have to pay.
What a bad price for India to bear.
And the Dutch went on giving them more and more and more information. And that was an intel op where they believed, it'll get to a point where we then swoop in and arrest them. But somebody tipped off Abdul Qadir Khan and he fled. So he couldn't be arrested. And on America's side, it was deliberate. They went on saying, no, not yet, no, not yet, no, not yet. And then the bird flew the coop. The Chinese then gave them miniaturized stuff.
Arming them even more?
Arming them even more. And, Pakistan was very certain after 1971 that they wanted the bomb. Because they decided the Americans aren't going to protect us. The Chinese aren't going to protect us. What do we have except nuclear weapons? Because in 71, we broke their country in half. We've only got nuclear weapons. But surprisingly, 71 was also when India and Indira Gandhi decided to go nuclear. Because the Americans sent the 7th Fleet against us. And, the 7th Fleet could, one aircraft carrier battle group could have destroyed us completely.
Maybe this is a very basic question. Every single time there is a war in the world, a small skirmish, the idea escalates up to nukes. And then you get defense experts, often in columns and newspapers, talking about the nuclear deterrence capabilities. As a layman, I see why does it immediately escalate to nukes? Like, the threat of nukes is far more headline worthy and catchy than the actual use of nukes. Do you think in your lifetime, are there ever going to be nukes that are going to be deployed and used? Or is it just a threatening mechanism?
It's a threatening mechanism because, for some very important reasons. you never know when it's going to escalate to a nuke. It can just go like that.
Based on some crazy lunatics who are in power?
No. It can be a completely rational decision.
To go to nukes?
Yeah.
To destroy populations?
Let me give you a simple example. India has a no first use policy.
Sure. That means we're allowed
Which is,
to be
we
nuked
say,
first.
We are so confident of our armed forces, we know they're not going to collapse. So the need for us to use nuclear weapons doesn't exist. Pakistan's not that confident. They have a first use policy. Because they're not very confident that their troops won't collapse in the battlefield, ultimately, in a long, drawn-out war. So what ends up happening is, India, assume, is very deep inside Pakistan, and they've got 4 thresholds. So General Rashid Kidwai, was it Rashid? It was General Kidwai, I forget what his first name is. He laid out 4 thresholds: the water threshold, the spatial threshold, the military threshold, and the economic threshold. The water threshold is if you hold back too much water and it devastates their crop. The economic threshold is if you blockade them or destroy their economy. The spatial threshold is if you capture too much of Pakistani territory, and the military threshold is if you destroy too much of their military. They feel free to use weapons. Now, assume we're into a war, and on the very first day we blockade their trade, we don't stop the waters, we flood them. We open up all the dams and flood them, which will still destroy the crops.
Now there's a famine.
And we destroy large parts of their military and go a good 15-20 kilometers in, which is more than enough to surround Lahore. Lahore is about 18 kilometers from the border, so yeah. At that point, a Pakistani general, the head of chief of army staff, is like, look, I have 2 options here. If I use option 1, which is to fire just 1 nuke at the Indian forces sitting outside Lahore, and another nuclear missile at the ships blockading my harbors, he's not going to burst the dams because, well, you've opened them up. So he's calibrated his response. Only the troops outside Lahore and only a concentration of ships. Well, that's concentration of ships is not how a blockade happens, but anyway, blow up some ships. He's like, fine, I'll get rid of the immediate situation, but India has promised massive retaliation. So he no longer has any incentive to just use 1 nuke here and 1 nuke there.
He's going to go all out.
He's going to go all out.
Does the red button lie in Pakistan or somewhere else?
No, it lies in Pakistan, very much in Pakistan.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's not some foreign control shit and all of that, no. They have complete control of their weapons. So, you never know when these things are going to escalate. NATO planning for Warsaw Pact, when there was a Warsaw Pact under the Soviet Union, was that, they have the preponderance of tanks, aircraft, and men, so they're not going to go nuclear on day 1. But we should be ready to go nuclear because the initial 10-15 days of the war, the Soviets will make rapid advances till we are able to stop them. Because we are much more advanced. We may not have the numbers, but we're more advanced. After the USSR fell, they saw Soviet plans, which was to start using nuclear shells and things like that on day 1. Because Soviet tactical officers had been trained to think of a nuclear bomb as just another weapon that you fire.
There is no humanitarian cost, no concept of lives lost.
No. And, this comes from the ICJ judgment on, I think it's the ICJ judgment on nuclear weapons, which holds the use of nuclear weapons is legal when subjected to the rules of war and proportionality. Very loaded term, and I'll tell you why. The rules of war say you can't target civilians. But if there's a military target in a civilian area, the civilians are considered expendable collateral.
That's what the International Court of Justice says.
That's not what they say. I'm
But this
telling
is the
you that this is... No. This is the problem. When they say I'm quoting, the use of nuclear weapons is legal when used within the rules of war and the principles of proportionality, quote unquote, end of quote.
Yeah.
That's what they say. That's not what I'm saying. But the other jurisprudence around collateral and the rules of war is that collateral is acceptable if there is a very serious military target. Number one. Number two, when you say proportionality, it's not you slapped me, I slapped you. Proportionality is, I have decided to kill you. The means should be proportionate to what I intend to do to you.
This must be the opening point for tons of international war lawsuits by just how complicated and how open-ended this
You
term
know
is.
what's amazing is so many people, even military guys and things like that, lawyers, either don't understand it or deliberately pretend not to understand it.
If all our war breaks out between the two countries, do you think we're going to be held to international sanctions, UN treaties, and all of those things?
Well, what can you do? If war breaks out, war breaks out.
Many are calling Modi's response measured but not enough to perhaps appease to India's angry nationalistic spirit, which is at an all-time high right now, which is like, कुछ action दे हमें feel हो हम गर्व करें भारतीय होने के लिए. But what is this response?
So, the response is going to take weeks, maybe months even. I don't know. You can't tell the government when it chooses to hit. Assuaging your feelings is not the prime objective. Strikes aren't done for retaliation. Strikes are done, this is very clear. You can't hit for retaliation. You hit for deterrence. So the strike has to be severe enough to make Pakistan think 100 times before hitting. The last time they hit us was in Pulwama in 2019, early 2019, which was 6 years back. It's been 6 years since then. So you can argue Balakot created 6 years worth of deterrence.
Sure.
You have to create deterrence again. Now, in creating deterrence, you have to, our soldiers' lives are a bit more important than your feelings and need for immediate gratification. Okay? That gratification is not on the table in terms of the retaliation. It is seeing what Pakistan can do in response, maximizing the damage on their side, minimizing the damage on our side. Now, if you go to the Wikipedia page on Pulwama, it's written clearly by Pakistani editors, which Wikipedia is full of, or treacherous Indians. There are lots of Pakistani fifth columns, mostly Hindus, walking around. They'll tell you that all the open source intel proved that no substantial target was damaged, number one. Number two, you lost because the next day Abhinandan Vartaman's plane got shot down and it was a PR disaster for you. Even assume, I know for a fact that's not true, because the same OSINT guys who are telling you you didn't cause damage don't accept the fact that an entry wound can be small, but the impact behind the wall can be huge. We've seen that in so many cases. That's what a dum-dum bullet does. The entry wound of a dum-dum bullet is small. You look at the backside, it will have blown half your back open. Assume all that you read on the about Pulwama on the Wikipedia page is true. How is it Pakistan didn't attempt something like that for the next 6 years?
They were successfully deterred. I can only say that.
So remember, it's your greatest victories in intel and counter-terrorism are the ones which you don't see because there is no terror attack then.
Right. It's almost like good
it's
security.
It's like claiming today there wasn't a terror attack. Yay, victory for me. I mean, you can't.
Good security is punished for its quietness.
Yeah, good
silence.
Security is punished for its silence. Yes.
Yeah. But there was today is Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday, this podcast comes out. Midnight, I think around 2 a.m., the finance minister, the foreign minister in Pakistan, and also one of the generals made a haphazard press conference at 2 a.m. saying that India might attack us in the next 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah.
What would you predict this would be if there is an attack?
In this particular situation, I'm actually expecting the Pakistanis to attack us first. And I'll tell you why. The pressure that we're putting on them slowly through water, flights, ultimately trade, so on and so forth, and constant military movement on the border and withdrawing it. They can't sustain that pressure for long. They don't have the money to sustain it. The only scenario in which they come out looking good, where they can claim victory, like they did with Pulwama. I don't care what they, with Balakot. I mean, I'm happy for them to claim victory as long as it buys you 6 years of peace. Well, I'm not happy with it because, well, look, even when you have a spectacular victory like 71, the terrorism started off, the Punjab insurgency started off in 82, 83. You just got a 10-year breather, right? So fine, I'm fine with that. But in this case, the only way they hope to win is for something short, sharp, and very, very intense. So full-scale war for 3-4 days, which is a stalemate-ish thing where they can claim victory and claim, Hindustan ko humne muh tod jawab diya. The longer the stalemate goes on, the more the Pakistani state bleeds itself of resources. Forward deployment of tanks, aircraft is very expensive. It takes a toll on the performance of those things. These are high performance assets.
Right, and you're basically getting them from one corner of the country to the other, to the border.
And, putting them out in rough airfields, rough terrain, deserts and things like that. There's a huge price to pay for it.
I've played Civilization 6 on the iPad. It takes so many maintenance dollars just to haul your tanks from one part of the your kingdom to the other to wage war, and by the time you get there, you're often...
I'll just pretend we're not talking about a video game.
No, but this is how I understand this analogy, because
fair,
it's actually true.
Fair. It is true. And the longer they wait, the weaker they become. They'll want to end it on their terms quickly.
And we're going to give them the paradey victory that they're so known for in their news channels, where they get to gloat?
I think not. And that is why we're not taking action very quickly. Look, I honestly don't know what the government is thinking, because one thing this government is very good at is not leaking information. You never know what they're thinking till the last minute. Right? You never know. Like even now, we were sure action was going to happen, and then no, they're doing stuff. It's Russian style maskirovka. Maskirovka is the art of strategic deception. Deceive till the point you actually decide to go in.
As a student of wars and defense, let me ask you this. Do countries become more robust and more hardened and perhaps more prosperous after wars? Or is it the reverse effect? And that war basically is a perpetual leak on our resources, and we become weaker after war?
It depends on the country and the economic context.
What about us? Say we do this, then what happens to us?
So, for example, World War II essentially got Europe and America out of the Depression because of war demand.
That's when the baby boomers came, right?
Yeah. The Korean War essentially paid for the rebuilding of Japan and Germany. Because they had to supply all the equipment. The Allies had basically decided to deindustrialize Germany. The Korean War starts and they're like, oh, okay, we need industrial capacity, so let's reindustrialize Germany. Well, with Germany, they decided that because of the Cold War, because the Cold War had already started. But there were lots of doubters, and that decision, and all the doubters shut up the moment the Korean War started. Because that was the Cold War gone hot by proxy. For America, war is very good. It stimulates the economy. It also means you can display the prowess of your weapons and sell to lots of countries.
Right.
If you don't have that kind of an industrial base, it's a drain on your resources. So the 71 war essentially led to the emergency of 1974 or 5 was the result of two wars. The 71 war and the 73 war. The 71 war was India-Pakistan. We got 10 million refugees, which was Bengal added about 25 to 30% of its own population who never went back. Debilitating. people don't understand how economically weak India was in those days. Imagine one of your biggest states, 25% of,
1 crore log aa gaya.
within a year, it's 25% more population. Horrible. The cost of the war itself, it was so expensive. Your already weak finances, further strained by what happened in with the refugees coming in, the cost of the war was debilitating. I don't think people realize how much worse the economic situation became after 1971. And then what happened was the 1973 Israel-Arab war and the oil blockade, which the Arab countries put on Israel and any countries supporting Israel. Oil prices skyrocketed. And India already, like India's plan was it'll take us 5, 6, 7 years to recover from the cost of the 71 war. 73 Mehi, you have an oil thing where the oil prices shoot through the roof. What can you do in a modern economy without oil?
Nothing.
Nothing. So it was all those economic consequences that led to near complete social breakdown, a breakdown of law and order and things like that. And that was the context in which emergency was imposed. Everybody says it's because Jayaprakash Narayan told the army to not listen to Indira Gandhi. Look, that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. But it was an accretion of events.
Ultimately, I've been reading this book called Material Sciences or Material Earth by Material World by this guy called Ed Conway, in which he talks about how iron, coal, oil, all of these things really control the world. We think about our economies, we think, well, services are adding so much, money and revenue.
Yeah.
But he's talking about being in this massive gold mine and seeing the blasters come up. And he's just sitting with the red button in the mine, and then the rocks are crushed. And he's just talking about. And I was sitting in the Tokyo subway, and I suddenly had such new great fondness for the steel that I saw, the aluminum, the plastic. I was like, people don't realize this, but this is how wars and countries really think in these terms.
Yeah. So, there's this whole school of 4 economists that will tell you services, 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 services. In 1990, when the USSR broke up, it was about to break up, the IMF gave advice to both China, and remember, China was just starting its industrialization the year prior in 89. To both China and Russia, don't go in for manufacturing, go in for services. Russia followed that advice, China did not. Today, where is China and where is Russia?
Russia is a shadow of itself, and China is the next.
Is number 2.
In the world,
it's number 2.
Yeah.
So, this services lobby is a very dangerous lobby. They're able to bullshit you very easily.
It's consultants versus construction guys.
Yeah. Consultant versus construction. It is, at any given time, I will always choose manufacturing and industry over services. And then, people try to fuzz that line. They say, oh, what about iPhone? This iPhone just costs $10 to $15. The actual cost price of it is $10 to $15. But you end up paying, what, $1,500 for it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the prices in India are. But
it's quite high.
It's quite high. And they'll say you should be like Apple. Well, Apple designs certain very crucial things in here which nobody else can design. The cost of writing that software is extraordinarily expensive. The smooth integration is even more expensive. Sure, it's outsourced to a lot of other things, but the manufacturing is. But that designing, you can't do that kind of designing. That's serious, hardcore, technical drawing, science-based designing, which is absolutely crucial to any country. They tend to conflate this kind of design, which is a product of a first world country, with BPOs.
Yeah, I was going to say, just because we have many guys who spoke.
And then you have economists who are socially clueless. Now, what was that former economic advisor called? R3, Raghuram Rajan. He went on either Raj Shamani or Ranveer Allahabadia and said, I don't want India to be doing low-level manufacturing. We need to get away from manufacturing and need to do what Apple does. Bro, that's a product of a first world country.
You're not that.
You can't design that. Korea designs phones like that because they've become a first world country. China is now a second world country proper, and they've come up with some decent designs. But that's because it's a command economy which is artificially skewed in a certain way. In a democracy, you can't skew the market that way. He's a good economist, but this is what happens. I've realized historians don't actually talk to archaeologists. They don't even know how to read an archaeological report. And
they're so engrossed in stories, they forget to touch the object, which is what an archaeologist does.
And economists don't talk to sociologists and anthropologists and things like that. I used to be like that, till my former boss, Samir Saran, said, you know what, you're not working on defense. I want you to work on health, education, and what else? Health and education, and I forget now. I was cursing him. I was like, fuck you, this, that, blah, blah, blah. You're trying to destroy me, blah, blah, blah. He was absolutely right. All the answers I wasn't getting in defense, I found in other things like education, the economy, social dynamics.
What did you end up doing that was different in your approach that allowed you to, quote unquote, meet reality where it is?
Why, for example, transfer of technology won't work? Even if you're giving the drawings, it's not about the drawings. There's a reason my BMW in Australia didn't give me problems, and every time I'd go for servicing, it used to come back very, very good. And no matter how much you got it serviced out here, it would keep giving problems.
Yeah, I think Indian cars depreciate faster under the sun than...
On the other hand, Suzuki is designed for the Indian market.
Sure.
Right. So if you get a MiG-29 today, technology today, you might be able to produce it, but we don't want MiG-29 technology. We want F-35 technology. So India, where Suzuki's work very well, wants to now upgrade to a Mercedes without the social framework for it or the socio-economic framework for it, enabling you to service a Mercedes. Not going to work. Not going to work. Why do you think so many people have, in fact, transferred technology and we're not able to? Listen, ultimately in this country, we had a production run of 600 MiG-21s. 600 MiG-21s. And you still couldn't produce an engine, you still couldn't design an aircraft. The aircraft you decide to design to replace it is 40 years in limbo.
Good time to think about the raw materials that run the world, and perhaps that we should have more manufacturing in the country. I never really got the argument till I actually read this book, where I realized how powerful...
I've been telling you this for ages. You're telling me I'm not as articulate as the book.
No, it's just that you have to have a free mind, then you have to sort of... मतलब मेरे को पता लगा भाई iron ore, coal, steel, aluminum, gold, bitumen, charcoal, asphalt,
Crucial.
इनकी क्या value है?
Crucial.
हमें लगता है कि ये लोग सड़क पे जो सड़क बना रहे हैं क्या ये, because we work in such fancy industries.
Remember, we have a lot of Pakistani fifth columns, not just the types who support Bushra Sheikh and other Pakistani groomer gangs. We also have these fifth columns who will tell you to deindustrialize. It's dirty, get away from coal. It's iron isn't good for the environment. Copper is bad for the earth. Blah, blah, bullshit. Till you understand that, and you also need to understand propaganda when it comes out of the West. You know, till the Fukushima incident happened, the Germans were the biggest advocates of nuclear reactors. There was a conference in Bombay, Manjeet Kriplani, Gateway House. It's a big think tank in Bombay. We're hosting it. And on my panel, there was this German guy I knew who had been the biggest advocate of nuclear power before. Dude, within like 2 months of us meeting, he was now saying, oh, nuclear power is so bad, it's so expensive. It doesn't make sense. Nuclear power is actually one of the cheapest. You know, just a little bit of uranium can power an entire city. Like,
and you can easily find uranium deposits all over the world, right? You just have to go collect it.
Well, no, you get uranium. The correct kind of uranium is scarce. It has to be concentrated enough. You can't... Technically, everything is available on Earth, right?
Yeah.
But mineable uranium. It's taken us so long to discover fracking, which turns previously unusable oil and gas reserves to usable oil and gas reserves, right? So the processes, the concentrations, all of that matter.
Help me understand. I remember only fracking from my time in America where there was a lobby for fracking and anti-fracking, but I never really got into it. So what is that?
Look, it depends on which side of the argument you come from. If you're a
Let's talk about your side.
energy independence guy, you'll say go for fracking. If you are an environmentalist, you'll say it's the worst thing that can happen.
But how do you turn a previously unusable mine? Like, have the resources depleted in the mine?
So it is actually a very, very dangerous process, and I'll tell you. And it's not rocket science to figure out that it's not good for you. First, you drill very, very deep. Now, deep drilling is very dangerous because you're messing with tectonic plates. Okay. Second, you inject into this deep hole, you pressure inject a cocktail of extraordinarily toxic chemicals which dissolve the shale. Now, these resources are basically like, it's inside mud. How do you separate mud from oil, kind of thing? They dissolve the rocks and shit like that, turn them into fine, well, I've never seen it, but which settles down and pushes up the oil.
Right.
Now, remember, you've already messed with tectonic plates. You have pumped in incredibly, like, it's not rocket science to say that if something is melting rock,
it's dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous. It's like the xenomorph in all those alien movies and that acid they squirt.
It's probably also super contaminating for the ecosystem.
Because you don't know from where it's going to come back up to the surface, right? Once you extract the oil, what happens to the vacuum you've created? You've created a huge underwater cavern on unstable tectonic plates. May not be an unstable tectonic plate, but usually it is. What if you have a huge bloody wormhole? No, what are those things? Wormholes are in space. What's those things that happen when a huge crater just happens in the middle of nowhere? Sinkhole. Sinkhole opens up 1,000 feet deep.
Yeah.
And how do you know it's not going to contaminate your goddamn water resources?
I think I've seen a footage of something similar in Russia where this huge hole is just opened up in the ground. They have a few of those.
Yeah. So if you asked me, I would be... It is so contextual. As long as I can get cheap oil from somewhere else, I'm going to say no to it. The moment oil becomes expensive or somebody is using it to blackmail me, I'm going to say, you know what? Screw the environment, go for it. Because the cost is too high.
Has India ever had a gold rush? Have you ever discovered gold deposits? No.
We claim to have had gold here and there. We had diamond. We have the only source of diamonds for the last thousands of years, till a mine started getting discovered in the 1800s.
In Africa?
In Africa.
Oh, we were resource rich in diamonds?
We were the only diamond producing country.
And do we still have those reserves, or they're all dried
they're
out?
all exhausted. They're all exhausted.
What were the regions where these diamond resources?
Golconda, around Golconda.
Golconda
Andhra.
Fort.
Telangana.
Yeah. That's crazy. That was probably responsible for our prowess.
To this day, the term Golconda connotes quality in diamonds. A similar caratage Golconda diamond will always be more expensive than a similar caratage African diamond. And many of these diamonds come with provenances. They were owned by the Maharaja of so-and-so, and the value of that diamond just goes up, right? It's pearls. You know, getting an actual Basra pearl today is impossible.
What's a Basra pearl?
Basra pearls used to come from the western Red Sea, around Basra. It was that Basra, Kuwait, parts of Iran area. They're extremely fine natural pearls. One small pearl today will be worth 10, 15 lakhs if you're lucky enough to get it on the market. The only way you can get it is if you're great friends with some Maharaja of something or the other, and he decides ki ye le, main tere ko ek moti ka ye de raha hu.
Do pearl livers still exist? Is that a profession still? Do people still do that?
Some where they do, but mostly now it's cultured pearls. Look, a cultured pearl is also a pearl, right? Because you still have to inject it into an oyster, and the oyster takes time to build that mother of pearl layer on it.
Wait, you're saying a cultured pearl is like IVF for the oyster? Is it like you basically...
So basically what a pearl is that impurities get into an oyster. Now, if you've opened oysters, you'll see the inside is that same color as pearl. It's that shiny,
Sure. Yeah.
this thing. So what happens is they realize they could do this artificially. Wherever you have oysters, they will inject a perfectly formed piece of, I don't know what it is, plastic or some chemical composition in there. And over the next few years, the oyster will keep secreting this thing and building up layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of, and that is why, that same material in spoons and things are called mother of pearl. It's the constant friction with that becomes the pearl.
How fascinating.
It's like that.
I also have to talk about sulfur and water because I was in Japan and I tried onsens. What a fascinating experience for a young man like myself who's not privy to naked locker room culture in India. Right?
So, Japan and Finland are two countries, even Germany to some extent. Japan and Finland, the nakedness culture is just...
It's staggering.
It's staggering. But there's also a very strict hygiene culture with
I
that
will tell you what
nakedness.
happened.
Yeah, you can't get into the onsen immediately. And you can't even get into the bath immediately. You first have to remove the water from it and wash yourself. Then you get into the bath and clean yourself. Well, the bath isn't for cleaning, I realize this. It's best if you visibly take a shower. The bath is therapeutic. It's not for cleaning like they believe in the West. And then finally you get into the onsen, hot water spring, because it's therapeutic. It's not for cleaning.
So
you fucked up, didn't you?
I fucked up once, but it was so I went to so many onsens. Now the first time you walk into an onsen, so I went to the non-natural spring onsen. I went to an actual proper like artificial man-made onsen first in Kyoto. This was my 4th day in Japan. I just come from buttfuck of nowhere, rural Matsusaka, where I was seeing the F1 race in Suzuka nearby. And this was my first city, so I was very happy. So, okay, let's go to an onsen. We've heard about this. 550 yen you pay. They give you a hand towel. We didn't ask for the full towel. They give you a small towel. One locker room key that they give you, a locker key. अच्छा, अब आप उसको लेते हो. आप अंदर जाते हो. Now, the only time I've visibly seen naked locker room culture for men, I think women are like pretty okay with it, is once at the Claridge's in now Vivanta Taj in Surajkund in the 5-star hotel sauna, where I was surprised by seeing another man's penis in a locker room setting as to why that is happening. And my dad told me it's very normal in 5-star hotels. And I was like, ye kaise ho sakta hai India? Because we were used to, you wear the towel and from underneath you do your business. It's very like shameful and whatnot. So I walk in and there's just, there's a like line of dicks of all kind. And like your tendency is to look down first. All bushy dudes. Like none of them are using those ballistic trimmers to shave. I'm like, man, ye kya hai? Now gradually you get over yourself and you get used to it. Now you're looking around for directions. I found the one that was not in Japanese that said, ki aapko ye karna hai, ye karna hai, ye karna hai. Now I walk inside the bath. There are these small stools. People are sitting and they have these showers. उनके पास मग्गा भी if you need, but everyone's sitting on a क्या बोलते हैं उसको मुड़ा होता है जो प्लास्टिक का that seat. Everyone's seated and they're taking a shower all hot. They're taking their time washing themselves. There's no like Instagram moments or whatever.
No.
A lot of them are salarymen, so there's no class divide per se.
No.
Right? Some of them had drinks outside and now are coming in.
Yeah.
Taking their time bathing. And I'm so surprised at this serendipitous leisure that I've gotten.
So the first mistake you make is assuming that particular part of cleaning is ritualistic. It's not. They're actually cleaning themselves. And you wonder, why can't you just have a shower and soap like you have in front of the pool?
No, but they clean themselves thoroughly. I saw a man shaving his ass. I was like, ye kya? But like, what the fuck? And he had tattoos on, like some onsens are non-tattoo, whatever. So again, I get over myself and I do this.
If he has tattoo, he's probably Yakuza. But
yeah. So I had an encounter with him where he sort of stink-eyed me. Now I step inside the actual hot spring. To have your balls and your ass, in that hot water. And one of the onsens that I visited had special thermal, electromagnetic, some shit like that, So if you stood in the middle, you basically would get like a
mild electric jolt.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck is this? So now these dudes are all sitting and relaxing.
I haven't been in one of those, but
it was amazing and a little too much. Ye sab kara. Now you can go inside the sauna if you want. You can do the cold plunge. This happens in Kyoto. Now in Osaka, the mistake that I made is, as soon as I stepped outside the sauna, I went inside the cold plunge. I did not do that perfunctory shower in the middle that you're supposed to wipe off the sweat from the sauna and then go inside the cold plunge. Then this man called us out. He was like, listen, this is not the etiquette. You have to do this first. I mean, of course, felt very ashamed, and then I learned. So he literally went to the cold plunge and उसने हाथ से पानी ऐसे पकड़ के हटाया कि इसने क्या करा है. I was like, okay, I made my mistake. Still went to more onsens. Then I went to this small, no one about this beach town called Shirahama Beach in Wakayama. It's south of Osaka, 2.5 hours. Pretty fantastic place, like small Okinawa. Nothing to do, chill town. And there I encountered my first natural onsen.
Okinawa is thousands of kilometers away, dude. It's not Okinawa.
No, but it's like similar vibe, like beach town, like that kind of aesthetic. So मेरे को natural onsen में गया मैं. Now there they don't even use soap. Because they're like you.
You're polluting the water with the soap. Yeah.
Yeah, so that onsen I found very interesting because it overlooked the Pacific Ocean. It was an onsen on the sea, so you could look at the ocean, you could look at the boats, but you were in this rock formation with the water. And I was like, इसमें ये होता कैसे? ये sulfur, पानी, like what's Japan's? I guess I was trying to read and they said they had some Pacific...
It's a volcanic island. There's lots of active volcanoes there. So it's volcanically warmed up. Now, we have one or two of those in one of the religious places up in the Himalayas. Because I remember going there on the school trip, in the 11th class school trip. I was in the 10th, getting ready to go to the 11th. Yeah. I remember.
There's one hot spring up there in Himachal Pradesh.
There are a few. I don't know which one we went to. Because we were doing Kedarnath, Haridwar, all these things in one trip. It was like a 15-20 day trip. Our school was fun that way. We actually, as opposed to bloody Delhi public school that used to every year take us to Humayun's tomb or that Purana Killa.
Yeah, cries in revisionist history.
Like 3 hours of a school trip. These guys used to literally do proper trips, right? And it was an effort. You could come all the way up from Madras and things like that. So it was fun. And the thing was, again, in India, very, very poorly maintained. People were throwing in their rice to cook in there and things like that. And you're literally like floating around with cooked rice, which nobody's removed. Yeah. And that smell of sulfur, it's like... I think we're kind of used to it because, we're used to things like hing or kala namak. Kala namak, black salt especially, is a lot more like sulfur. So we're quite used to it. And...
Did you like sit naked in the hot spring or no?
In the one in India? No. Yeah. In Japan, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Listen, you're not going to be allowed into there wearing swimming trunks or anything, right?
I know,
so full stop. So you have to get in naked. And... it's quite comfortable then when it's not an issue, when nobody's, the objectivity, sexuality, anything's completely removed from it. It's gone.
But by the second time, I was just focused on my own.
And you're just completely oblivious to everything around you. You're just focused on getting in there and, just... Because it really relaxes you, right?
I was doing mantra chanting. I was delighted by life. I was like, thank God.
Yeah. And unlike a bath at home, which can't maintain temperature, it cools down after a while. Here, it's just that constant temperature. And initially, it's very uncomfortable. You have to get in very... I've realized getting into hot water is like getting into cold water. Yeah. You jump in at one shot. And they're very polite. They don't jump in. But you just... do the best you can to get in at one shot and you're fine.
Especially when you're dipping your ass in, because that's the sensitive part.
That's the sensitive part, yeah.
Yeah, look, dude, I mean, itni sari cheezein that I found very, very admirable about their culture. I spent a month there, like I was telling you. Like, especially the Toto seats. They still leave a little to the imagination. They still leave, like, it's not a perfect job. You still have to use the TP after that.
Yeah.
Because
I don't like them because they don't do the perfect job.
I agree.
A health faucet does
Oh, that's what a jet is called, a health faucet?
Yeah, the hand Shah. So, in Thailand, it's called a Muslim Shah.
I
They'll
don't
always
know
ask
that.
you, sir, your room has Muslim Shah. I'm like, okay, why? I mean, I'm not Muslim. Like, then somebody told me it was this thing. But anyway, high pressure health faucet
Yeah.
is any day more effective than all this Toto Roca shit.
What we're missing is the TP at the end. Because Indian assets typically have so much water on them after they do the deed
Yes.
that the onsen automatically, the toilet seat automatically has this TP.
Air
So you
drying.
can- yeah.
So you do, well, TP is not as good. The only thing the Toto's worth is the air drying function.
And
'Cause then-
the heated seat.
Oh yeah, the heated seat. And also, by the way, I'm installing hot water for the health faucet as well.
Okay.
It's very unpleasant in winters to have to wash your bum with cold water.
Right. Yeah.
So heated seats, hot water, important, and air drying's much more effective than TP drying.
I also saw that whenever, like, I could never understand, I'm in a toilet and I'm taking a piss standing up, and all the notice says, please take a seat, please take a seat, please take a seat. And then I realized, I think they want their men to take a seat and then take a piss, so as to not contaminate the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many things about Japan that I'm fascinated by. So, IGI
Look,
Milano.
it's got its lovely sides and it's got its dark sides.
What's
I
its
like
dark side?
Oh, caste. They're actually extremely casteist.
How do they have caste? Shinto
And-
religion
and-
is
no,
as
no, no,
vague
no,
as
no,
some parts of
yeah,
Hinduism.
Yeah, no. It's a lot worse than India. So if you're typical low caste professions here, like undertaker, butcher, and things like that, they won't even let you inside their houses.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't realize that.
But what's
then I used to
their
work-
caste? Oh, right. They have of course, the emperor, the samurais, the ninja, the
Yeah,
farmers,
it's
and
the feudal
yeah,
system. And
That's
they've-
still
they've-
existent in modern society.
Oh yes. It hasn't gone anywhere. Unlike India, where you've legislated it out, there you can't be punished for caste discrimination. Huh? So it's very nasty, and that is where the yakuza actually come from. They were the so-called untouchables who banded together because they had no legal protection. So they formed as a mutual protection society, which ultimately became... So, the shame of marrying into a yakuza isn't because of the profession of crime and killing. It's because of what the origin of the caste is.
I went to one ninja museum, and I think the way they teach history to foreigners is the way they taught us this feudal system. Briefly, they had a diagram. They said the emperor is at the top, and the king of the samurais is sort of the martial head, quote, like uska Pakistan mein jaise military ka head hota hai. Then underneath him are a set of ronin, which are underneath him are a set of 3 clergymen.
Yeah.
I forget what it is. Then underneath him are a set of samurais with masters, which are basically the clergymen that the samurais report to. Then underneath the samurais, there are ronin, which are
Yes.
masterless samurais.
Masterless samurais.
Then there are farmers, which are also ninjas. Then there's I think a final caste. But I would always assume that the yakuzas were descendants of the samurais.
No. No. This is, modern movie thing where yakuza are seen with samurai swords. No. They come from a caste that's outside that particular hierarchy they showed you. Because farmer was still, even at the bottom of the ladder, was still respectable.
Yeah, he was a ninja.
Now, remember that
It's like a reserve soldier.
the Japanese didn't eat meat for a very long time. They used to eat frogs and fish, but they never ate any four-legged animals. Not cows, not sheep, not goats, not pigs. Not even pigs. And that changed. So, the butchery traditionally was seen as you're worse than a human being. Like, who the hell does this? So butchers, leather guys, I think. All the traditional things, even in India, that get you classified as a Dalit.
Wow. And now they're one of the biggest eaters and exporters of Wagyu beef in the world.
Well, they export the beef. They tried to hold on to the industrial secret of making that beef, but some Australians managed to steal Wagyu sperm and duplicated it, and now you have Australian Wagyu and American Wagyu and things like that.
I see.
It was a full-on industrial espionage operation where they stole Wagyu sperm. Do you know that?
I did not know that. I do know that the guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he often gives people weird investment advice, like investing in Wagyu sperm. I don't know why he does that. But yeah, one other thing that I notice about them is even in crowds, it's deathly quiet. Like silence is the norm. One night I was just having a few highballs and talking loudly in the train. Sali Americans, they think that they're the custodians of someone else's culture because they learn a few lines. They're like, oh, hum batayenge. The American was saying, shh. No, the Japanese did not. Sale. Tujhe kya pata hai?
No, yeah. So the Americans are a bit like, some Americans, not all, are like that. But, in Japan, it's very strange. Anything that comes out is offensive. But say smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, they love cigarettes.
You're taking it in. So it's fine.
What?
Yeah.
It's a culture that just receive what you were saying, like.
Which is why they won't. I don't know how.
So many masks.
Masks, exactly for that reason. Exactly for that reason. Exactly for that reason.
I think they're just secret gens.
So no, they're not. But yeah, I mean, the 4 or 5 years that I spent dealing with the Japanese market, it was culturally, it was just strange. Yeah. You learn a lot more when you deal with that country, and there's so many layers to every country. You just keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. But I used to find it fascinating.
They're so polite. Like, they have a perfect balance.
Wait. Clearly, you've never seen
an angry Japanese.
I've seen a lot of those.
I've seen some enraged eyes, but I was able to pacify them. Mostly because I went and said, "Can I sit outside at the terrace?" He thought I was not going to eat, so I translated and said, "Listen, I would definitely eat the sandwich. Can I also sit outside?" Then his face changed into a cherry blossom. But yeah. I'm not sure what's the kind of rage that you've dealt with.
Oh, all kinds of shit, dude. It's like, just, let's leave that.
But I will say this. I think there is a Japanese...
I've literally had a guy hold me by my collar.
Really?
And shake me, yeah.
Wow. The Japanese craze, that the way I see it in my age group and people younger, is mostly around anime and sakuras. I think overrated. It's not as fun. I think I discovered izakayas, which are Japanese taverns, fantastic places. 1,000 yen, you can eat as much as you want, drink as much as you want.
But, Japan has a lot of these categories of restaurants, which you get really good food there.
Yeah.
You can't, like Singapore and Japan are probably two places where you can't get away with bad food.
Yeah, like so many, I went to such fantastic, I did not know how to use chopsticks, by the way, I learned in this trip. I just always use the fork, but itna maza hai na, once you get the chopstick, you can slurp and eat like an idiot, all that ramen like...
Okay, so that's something that really irritates me. That slurping, I know why it's done. It's done to cool it down.
I saw a bunch of schoolboys doing it right next to me, and they were just...
Yes. Look, it's just my conditioning. Like, if I had done anything, even 1% of that sound, my mother would have slapped me from one side, my father would have slapped me from the other.
But yaar, maine na kabhi ramen ko chakha nahi tha. As a kid growing up on just Maggie, and like, turning the fork and then having the Maggie like that. The ramen is a different beast.
It's you get that different beast.
Quail egg in the middle.
Yeah.
And fucking like you can drink the broth. It's so good.
Well, see, the glory of the ramen is the broth. And it's not just a broth. It's the time. There's so many different kinds of broths. There's the tonkotsu broth, which is my favorite, which is the white pork broth. But then it has to be mixed with the tare at the last minute. You don't cook the pork with the flavoring agents.
Oh.
And depending on the noodle you use, the mouthfeel is just completely different.
Yeah, I didn't like udon noodles very much. I like the smaller.
I love udon. Udon are my favorite things. And they give me dirty looks if I ask for udon and ramen, because you're not meant to have udon and ramen, but
right.
I like udon.
Yeah. Well, you're going to try the mochi today that I got for you, but I did not like the red bean. It was a strange feeling in my mouth. Rajma dal rakha meetha.
Meetha rajma. So it's an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste, but I really like red bean mochi.
Oh, we're gonna try it. On that note, man, thank you for your time. What a great, fantastic note to end on. If anything, I am delighted that I got this trip done, and I think that anyone who's watching and listening, I think one good thing that I learned from this trip is you should spend a long time in a country and immerse yourself properly.
Yeah.
You can't, you when you do touch and go, it's like, oh, I went to Europe, I did Spain, I did Italy. You didn't do anything. You just, brushed off the tourist entrails and thought you discovered something magical.
Yeah.
This 1 month was very, very, it got me demanding that I should travel even more.
Yeah. Now you know why I'm addicted to travel, right? Because and it's not.
And it's not
It's not my mother's style business class 5-star. Yeah, okay, business class is not negotiable, but 5-star hotel and chauffeured limousines everywhere kind
Dude,
of
you
travel.
go to 5-star hotels. What are you saying? You're only 5-star hotels?
No, but I'm only business class.
Okay, well.
But the hotels, I avoid them. It closets you in an area of the city. It depends on the holiday. If I'm going for a chill relaxation holiday that's only about food, to say Bangkok, it'll only be a 5-star, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm going to Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, I'm like, as long as it's got a good toilet, I'm fine.
Yeah. I'm very grateful that I got to spend some interesting time in small budget hotels on this trip. Otherwise, you're ready, right? Like the last few days, I was recovering from a fever and I was in a nice hotel. And शायद मैं बीमार था, but I had to spend every single moment inside the hotel recovering.
Yeah.
And I dreaded the fact that I was in a major commercial hub. I wish I was slightly far away.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for your time. People can follow you on Abhijit Iyer-Mitra on Twitter. And once again, cheers.
Thank you. मजा आया ना?